Director of Programming for the Big Love Network. I work tirelessly on environmental justice, issues of environmental racism, and health equity throughout the city. And the reason that I do that is because of my own bodily autonomy. I grew up in Dover, Ohio, so many of you kind of know that area a little hour south of here. Trump country, right? Right. And when I grew up there was not a single person raised as a female in my town that wasn't raped or sexually assaulted growing up at some point, including myself. Now, this is not a story about that, but it includes that. I decided to go to Kent State University after I figured that reality out about everyone that I grew up with. And I decided to go to Kent State because that's where the organizers were. And I knew that some things really needed to change if this is how just an entire town of people that are raised female have an experience, right? 2 weeks into my first semester at Kent State, I found out that I was pregnant. The guy that I was with was from my hometown. He had, like most men in my hometown, been laid off. This was when George W. Bush took office and all the factories started closing down. And he would get violently verbal with me when he was drunk. And I know that he didn't mean it, but he was also feeling disempowered. And that was the reality that we were living in. And I knew right away that I wanted to have an abortion. I knew this was not the time to have this kid. I knew this was not the right kid for me. And I always wanted to have kids, right? So that was a real decision to make. My sister at the time, my brother now, went with me to the Women's Health Clinic, which used to be up at Kent State, up in Cleveland, has been closed down since then. And he was able to be right at my bedside during the procedure. It was really a beautiful family decision that we were making together to make sure the security of our family, because I needed to go to school. I needed to work on being a community organizer. Shortly after my abortion, at the abortion clinic, there was a slew of antis right outside of the door. And growing up in an evangelical Christian town, I had feelings about what I was doing. I knew it was the right decision, but there was still, I felt guilty about it, right? I felt a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame that goes into this for a lot of people that have uteruses. And I was, on the knockout drugs that they give you and coming out of it, and I started to kind of get emotional about it, which is normal, right? Which is totally normal. And I walked into that waiting room, and that waiting room was full primarily of African American women. And I was clearly upset, and each one of those women stood up and gave me a hug and said, "Honey, you're just a baby yourself." And that was the first time that I felt like I owned my own body. It was after that I started to really learn from Black women and really be embraced by the Black community that often had its roots in Akron. It's how I ended up here. It's why I do the work that I do, because Black women in both Akron and Cleveland have some of the worst infant mortality and mother mortality of anywhere in the country. I waited to have this family. It was my family's choice. We made it as a family. My mother and my aunt marched for Roe v. Wade. This is our family, is when we get to choose to do this. And I have to ask you, because I'm pregnant now, and it took me a long time to get here and to choose this and make the right choice for our family. Please make people go to the polls. I'm having a girl. That's my badass lineage. But she needs you. She needs you. Your children need you. Your grandchildren need you. We need you to get people to the polls as much as possible. Volunteer everywhere you can. Do whatever it takes. We cannot go back to when we couldn't make these critical decisions for our families. It means that we have no rights. As somebody with a vagina, it completely takes away our rights for how we decide what the basis of our interaction with the rest of the world will be. And we cannot let them take that away.